Brought to you by JMR Rentals, professional digital cinema and broadcast equipment rentals in Brooklyn, New York. JMRNY.com. Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend. I'm Jason Godbey, and today on the program, we got some more news coming to you from the NAB show. This year was the first year back for the NAB show New York. It was a scaled-down affair compared to 2019, the last year the show was in person. This year, there was a significant crowd, but there were fewer vendors, and the booths were smaller. This could mean a symptom of it being the first year back in person and business being down due to the global pandemic, or it could mean that companies are simply no longer interested in showing here in New York, especially if they've already shown at the NAB show in Vegas in the spring. Companies like Arri, Sony, and Canon were conspicuous by their absence. In fact, Canon hasn't shown at NAB New York since 2018. Sony had a small booth for their audio gear, but no cameras. And Panasonic was showing their new Kairos system, a remote control PZT camera system, but they didn't really have anything to offer filmmakers. The theme of the show seemed to be robot cams and live streaming. The Vegas show has always been the bigger of the two shows, but for those of us here on the East Coast, New York has always been our show. Luckily, I managed to speak with representatives from a couple of different brands with new offerings for filmmakers, Fujifilm and Blackmagic Design. I'm here with Matt Weintritt from Fujifilm. Matt, what do we got new here today?
Yeah, so the newest thing announced this morning from our optics division is actually the HZK 25 to 1000 box lens with a PL mount. So that's very exciting. Announced just yesterday for capabilities for the XH2S camera, which was launched earlier this year, is our file transmitter grip. And we have some exciting new functionality coming with the file transmitter grip to port straight from the camera to the cloud with no third-party accessories into Adobe's Frame.io platform. So that's going to be going live in the spring of 2023, but as I said, it was announced yesterday. So also on the trade show floor here, we're showing off the latest X Series camera, which is the XH2. That shoots 8K at 30 frames per second. And especially for our indie filmmakers, we've got an MKX lens currently mounted on here that we've had out for a while, but pairs really well with the XH2S and the XH2. The XH2S is, think of more as a speed and motion style camera. It does 4K up to 120, 240 frames per second refresh rate on the viewfinder, things like that, very speed oriented. And as I mentioned, the XH2 does 8K, so 6.2K max here, but really you get more speed. And then the XH2 is the resolution-capable camera. So we have that one here kitted out with the MKX 18 to 55, basically in a setup that can be used very easily. It's relatively light and portable. This camera can be held handheld, very much like what I have here. The optional grip, of course, makes it a little bit larger, but it's a stills and video camera. So especially for our hybrid shooters, people that are getting started in filmmaking, or doing both. So we have a lot of like wedding photographers and cinematographers that are going out there and making films and stills in the same scene. So taking the same body and then adding a cage, and we even have an optional fan accessory here to help run 8K footage or 4K 120, which generates a lot of heat. This allows the camera to do that for extended periods of time without overheating. That's a $199 accessory that really expands the capability of the camera. As far as other things that we've got to show here, I could show you this one currently. This little blinking indicator tells me that I am currently connected to my Frame.io setup. So if I take a picture of my XH2 over here, by the time we get over here, it's already blocked off a spot on my Frame.io account, and it's uploading that file. So these are our other files from earlier today. And that file is officially there in full resolution. This laptop, sure it was a few feet away from where I'm at right now, but that could be with my editor in Seattle while I'm here taking pictures in New York, and they would have that same time frame. They would show up basically immediately. for them to start putting together a workflow, start editing, whatever it is that they need to do. So that will work also with any of the files that come out of these cameras. So the XH2S can do, of course, in stills. What we just did was an HEIF file, but you could do a JPEG, you could do a RAW file, you could do all three. You can also do video files. So if you wanted to do original, like full resolution video, you just need to make sure you have a strong connection to get that video up to the cloud. But you can also do the proxy files. So ProRes proxy, whatever it is that you want your editor to start pulling from and working from, building a timeline or something like that. So very exciting technology, and yeah, I think that's all the new stuff from Fujifilm.
If I'm a traditional Canon guy, a Panasonic guy, a Sony guy, why am I switching to Fuji?
So there's a couple of things there. One is Fuji Non has almost a century's worth of glass making experience. So it's an absolutely astonishing level of craftsmanship. Comes out of Japan. You know, you can look at most of our lenses are made, say proudly right on the bottom, made in Japan by Fujifilm. They're crafted specifically for the cameras that they attach to as well. So like this is an XF mount, it's built for this body. It shows the exact image circle that needs to go on to an APS-C sensor, this size here, or Super 35 if you're a filmmaker. So it allows the lenses to be smaller, lighter, compact, and honestly cost less as well, without sacrificing any quality. The other thing is Fujifilm has, again, almost 100 years worth of color science. And so the other thing that Fujifilm has been known for throughout the generations is color. And we've transferred that from film to digital through the use of film simulations. So we have film simulations built into our cameras that give you a really nice, polished, finished look for everything from a traditional cinema film, like Eterna, to something that a photographer might use for landscape, like Velvia. We've got ones that really, give great skin tones for portraits or talking head setups, things like that. So you're not left to craft those colors in post. And also, if you use this as a starting base, then you know that your content is going to match, even when it's shot across different cameras or across different projects even. You can have different projects that are shot years apart, and if you use the same film simulations, you end up with the same look, the same feel, and everything looks like it belongs together,
For someone, like, say, looking to get into filmmaking, where should they start with Fuji?
So one of the really nice things about the X series is honestly nothing in this lineup should really be, in the world of filmmaking, could be considered expensive. The two cameras that we just mentioned, the XH2S, it retails for $24.99. The XH2 retails for $19.99. I would say those are both really reasonable entry points, and those are extremely capable cameras. That being said, if you want to enter at an even lower point, we have currently the XT30 is a very small, portable, 4K capable camera that retails for $8.99 for the body.
For people who want to know more about Fuji, see where the new stuff is coming out, where can they find you guys online?
Our main website, honestly, has been renovated and is completely updated, has a lot of great news, a lot of great resources, both for education. There's links through to our YouTube, also Instagram, all that sort of stuff. You can keep up with us, honestly, anywhere you want. But that main website is fujifilm-x.com, and you can find really anything that you want there, or at least a link to your preferred platform.
I'm here with Bob Cornelia from Blackmagic. Bob, what are your impressions of the show so far?
So, first day, very crowded. It was great to see the big lines to get in. And then once they came in, it was great to see them in person. A lot of people saying, oh good, I've seen or heard about products, but I haven't actually touched and felt them. So that's been really good today.
What are you guys showing off right now? What's hot on the market from you guys?
Sure, so we brought three of the cameras. This is the Ursa Broadcast G2 that we brought. That is a really flexible camera. It's got a 6K sensor, but it's used in broadcast as well as cinematography work. So you could do like a movie with it, but also use it in live TV. So it has a B4 mount and also an EF mount. So it comes standard with both. We're showing a camera with the EF mount, but using our new zoom and focus demands. So we're able to get that working, which is always fun to show off. And we also use the studio viewfinder on top, and we have the fiber connected to it as well. So we're showing all the workflows and then connected to an ATEM switcher. So it's great to show off the live capabilities of that camera. Then we also have a studio camera, 4K Pro, and that one is new. It has a really good low light sensor and has all the great camera control capabilities through the ATEM switchers, and we have that. And then next to that, we have our Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro, and that has the articulating screen and has the ability to add the viewfinder on top. It also has an HDMI out, so you can use it with our switchers and be able to get camera control. So you use it as a live switcher or shoot cinematography work with it too. And so that's all great. And then we have an ATEM Constellation 2ME HD here with the ATEM Advanced Panel 20 button. And so we're able to show all of it kind of integrated there. And then, of course, there's always DaVinci Resolve.
So you guys recently launched a second generation of the 6K camera. If you have the 6K Pro, why did we need a generation 2 of the 6K? What are the differences?
Right, so really the big difference is that the 6K Pro has the ND filters built in, but a lot of customers don't need that, but they wanted the articulating screen and the ability to add a viewfinder to it. So we were able to update it and get it out there at the same price as before, and that's kind of how we relaunched that, and it's done very well.
So it's just a matter of like features and mixing and matching for people's needs.
Exactly, and the articulating screen is a big one because when people mount them somewhere, sometimes they need to be able to see the viewfinder better and get into the touchscreen, and this helps them with that.
How are you guys relating to the customers right now, and how are you getting customer feedback and able to update things so quickly based on what people need?
Yeah, we have a very active forum on our website. So we get a lot of great Q&A there. We've been able to go back to shows the last 6 months, and that also helps because oftentimes when the development team comes out, they have ideas of what they want to do, and they get confirmation of it ahead of time. So even though it looks like we came out with something really quickly, it was already in the works, but we got confirmation from the customer feedback that that's what they wanted, and then we can release it.
What was the biggest single thing that you heard from customers? What were they demanding that you guys really needed to do in terms of updating the cameras?
Well, in terms of the cameras, the articulating screen, which started with the Pro, was a big deal. Wanting better low light sensitivity, so we upgraded the sensors across the board, and that really was a big deal. And then we always want to add the camera controls that we've done for all the ATEMs, and that way that you have a much more flexible camera because you can use it for cinematic work, but also use it for live.
For the studio camera, what kind of customers are you seeing buying that right now, and who's using it the most?
Sure, so we have customers across the board, so traditional broadcasters, but we also have a lot of houses of worship, so a lot of churches, a lot of schools. It's amazing to me to see all the different people that are using them and using them in different places. Like there's kids in schools that use them in school, but they use them at the houses of worship that they belong to too. And then as they move up the line and go to TV stations, they have the Blackmagic stuff as well. So it's very funny to see the progression and the customer base kind of growing top, bottom, and bottom up and all around, really.
For the cameras that are more sort of cinematically oriented, are you guys getting on the big shows right now? Are you guys able to get on big sets and name movies and so forth?
We have been getting more and more. Oftentimes is the cinematographer that has some of our cameras, even though it'll be assigned to use a different camera, they'll bring it on set and give a peek of what they could use, and slowly but surely they wind up with more and more shots from our cameras. And that goes with not just like the Ursa 12K as well as, say, the pocket cameras, because guys will bring them on set and then they'll start using them and go, oh, well, this is good, we can get that shot or this shot. So our cameras have definitely moved in. Now, the 12K specifically, people are using them to shoot VFX plates because you can get all of that information. And then there's virtual productions that are using LED walls, and they're using 12K images in those to give better resolution when they shoot the composited shot. So they're definitely getting more and more into a lot of different workflows.
With the 12K, how are people managing that? Like, have you guys developed a codec that's like won't crash every computer in the universe?
That's exactly right. So the Blackmagic RAW codec was designed specifically for this. Now, it didn't come out It came out before the 12K camera, but it was with that in mind, that once you get to those size images, they're no good unless you can use them, right? So we designed the Blackmagic Raw codec to be able to manage them size-wise where you can still play them off a laptop. So it's really kind of a neat way to be able to get that large file size, but in a manageable way to use it in real time, even on a laptop.
I know that you guys just came out with DaVinci 18, I think it was. What were the upgrades there, and what are the differences between like the Pro version and the home download version?
Sure. DaVinci 18 introduced our new collaborative cloud workflow, so it integrates with our cloud service that we have where you manage projects and you can share them for collaboration around the globe. And you can use both the free version and the studio version for all of that and collaborate back and forth. The studio version has certain tools for stereoscopic 3D workflow, as well as multiple GPUs for the larger systems of doing high-end color correction. But the free version really is robust and does a lot of the heavy lifting, if you will. And it's also good if you want to have it on set and you just download it and you don't have time to buy it and you just want to use it. So people are doing that, and you can work with two different people using the studio version or the free version, and they can still collaborate back and forth, and that's been really cool. And now we have the Dropbox syncing and also the Google Drive syncing, and that's all part of DaVinci Resolve 18.
And did you guys just come out with a cloud program as well, like a networking app as well?
Well, what we have is our new cloud storage devices, right? So there's 3 different versions: the Shuttle, the Cloud Store Mini, and the Cloud Store. Those products are designed to have storage local, but they can sync through the cloud. And then with our Blackmagic Cloud service that you house the projects, you can collaborate with people. And then DaVinci Resolve 18 is the glue that holds it all together to move the files back and forth and move the projects around and have everybody collaborating on the same project and same timelines.
So if people want to learn more, get to know the products, where can they find you guys online?
Right, so the best place to find us is blackmagicdesign.com.
And that's all we got for you today. Thanks so much for taking this trip down the rabbit hole. For more of our content, visit our website, norestfortheweekendpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube, youtube.com/getbehindtherabbit. I'd like to thank Matthew Weintritt and Bob Caniglia for taking the time to speak with me, and a big thanks to our sponsor, JMR Rentals. For Behind the Rabbit Productions, I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.